Good morning, everybody. It's Teppy Schwartzel with Arid Desert Designs coming to you from beautiful Anthem, Arizona in the United States. And I am an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator. And we are going to make an Easter card today. But before we get into that, I hope you all know that celebration is about to end. You have until March the 31st, that's this coming Tuesday, to get in on the celebration. And that is if you purchase the demonstrator slash discount shopper kit, it's only $99, and what you get with that $99 is $125 worth of product, and you pick it out. It's not a predisposed kit that we tell you what you have to buy. It is anything that you want to buy that's in a current catalog. And it does not, that does not include hostess gifts, okay? The other thing that's happening until celebration ends, again, which is next Tuesday, you will get a 6x6 pack of 48 sheets of some of the designer series paper that is in the January to June mini catalog, and you will get this absolutely fabulous mini paper trimmer. I absolutely love it. It will cut a sliver and it will cut dead straight. And the blade is self sharpening, so you never have to replace the blade. I am so glad I got this. So remember, this all goes away on March the 31st. Now, if you are already a demonstrator or slash discount shopper with me, you know, that's all you have to do. But if you want to purchase the products that I'm using today, and you're neither a demonstrator or a discount shopper, please use this host code. This will, when you order anything $150 or under, please use this host code. If you're going to order anything $150 and over, then please do not use this host code, because then you will get some rewards from Stampin' Up! Directly. Okay? So I made 2 renditions of this Easter card, and I finally decided which one I like the best. Okay, here they are. Basically the same, but I changed up what color the base of the card was and the placement of the flowers, and I changed out, you know, the colors of the different layers. I decided that I like this one on the right the best, so we are going to make that card today. Now, what we are using, sorry, but I went crazy when I was using everything. I used the embossing folder from the Heirloom Frames and Dies and 3D embossing folder. I have used Positive Thoughts. I used this fern or leaf here, and this looks like a chrysanthemum. From the Welcome Easter set, I used the Happy Easter. From the Woven Heirlooms, I used Wishing You a Day of Love and Joy. And I also used the square die to cut out the frame. Okay? And with the Painted Poppies, I used the Painted Poppies labels and dies. I used, which one did I use? Looks like I used this smaller one. Let's just double check it. Yep, I used the smaller one. Okay? So, we're going to put that aside. Now, the papers that I've used are Gorgeous. I used the Gorgeous Grape. I think it's Gorgeous Grape. No, it's blue. I think it's Blackberry Bliss. And it is, let's get the base. I'm sorry. The base is Whisper White. Sorry. The base is Whisper White, and the Whisper White is 11 by 4 1/4, and it's scored at 5 1/2. So we'll just go ahead and fold that. And we'll use our bone folder to get a nice sharp fold. And one of the things I found, see this label on here on the bone folder? That comes off. Don't rub that on, because this is the way I use the bone folder. Some people use it this way. I just really, it's easier. I've got arthritis, so it's much easier on my hands this way. Don't put the label side down because it rubs off on your cardstock. So be careful of that. Just be aware of that. Okay, now we've got a piece of Blackberry Bliss, which is, now where did it go? Oh, there it is. Sorry. Okay, we've got a piece of Blackberry Bliss that is, okay, this is going to be, so that's 5 1/2 by 4 1/4. It's going to be 4 inches by 5 1/4. Okay, then we have a scrap from the Regal's 6x6 Designer Series paper pack. And this is double-sided. On this one, if I can get it out of my pack. Nothing's working today, folks. Par for the course. Okay, this is double-sided. I decided to use the one that's got the handwriting. Also remember, if you're using something and it's got a direction to it, like this does, make sure you cut it in the right way it's going to sit on your card. Okay, so this piece is 5 1/4 by 2 1/4. Then I took a scrap of Whisper White and I cut it out with the, where are you? Yeah, okay. That's from the Woven Heirlooms, but it's called Heirloom Frames and Dies. And I used this one, this square one. And I found the square one much easier to line up than the oval, because I've used the oval before. So I used that to cut, you cut it out first with the die. Okay, then you come back with the 3D embossing folder. Okay, now what you do when you've got your die cut out, this is gonna line up just perfectly with this embossing part inside the embossing folder. See how that it really lines up perfect. This like I said, this one's much easier than the oval to do. Okay, and then that's what that turns out like. Okay, and I forgot the ribbon. All right, and I'm also using the silver edged metallic edge ribbon, and it's 3/8 of an inch. Okay, now the other thing I did, I've already stamped these out and cut them. I die cut them. They came from the Positive Thoughts and the Nature's Thoughts dies. Okay, so this is what I stamped, and I used Old Olive, and Blackberry Bliss, okay, for my ink. And I stamped them out first, and then I die cut them with the dies that are in the set. It was this one, and this one. Easy peasy. And I just did a bunch of these because I had made the other card. So I I only used one of the leaves. So I'll take 2 of those out. And I used 2 of the chrysanthemum. Again, these were stamped in Blackberry Bliss. All right. So the other thing that we used was a scrap. We used scraps of the Blackberry Bliss, and I used the die from the Painted Labels dies that went with the Painted Poppies, and we used the smaller one as I had shown you earlier. Okay. Now, what we're going to do is we are going to heat emboss the Happy Easter label. Now, I have to find, there it is, and I'm going to take that off, and get that off of there. I love your take your pick tool. That I use it for everything. Okay, so we're taking the Happy Easter from the Welcome Easter stamp set and try to get it on straight. Hope my head's not in there. It looks pretty straight. Okay, now that I've moved everything. Now, what I'm using here is the Versamark ink. Now, before I do that, let's get the embossing buddy. And we're going to, I tap it. I'm here in Arizona, so the weather's pretty dry. So we need a little bit more of this powder. What that does is it reduces the static so that the embossing powder doesn't stick in places that you don't want it to stick. So we're going to line that up here, and we're going to ink up our Happy Easter. And try to get it as straight as I can. I like to let that set on there a little bit so that it kind of soaks into the paper. Ooh, that looks good. And we're going to take our white embossing powder and put some powder on this. I also like to have a little like paintbrush. I'm using makeup brushes to, if there's some of this embossing powder in places that I don't want it. Okay, you can see right there, I've got a little bit there. And where's my little brush? Oh, there it is. There's my teeny little brush. Okay, and I'm just going to get that spot right off of there. All right. And then we're going to heat this after I close this up because this is a mess. And we'll get our heat tool. And this gets very hot. So just remember that. And what you want to do is you want to heat this until everything is shiny. And hold it down with something. You don't want to put your fingers down there because this gets really, really hot. Right, can you see it? Look at that. I just love watching embossing powder. That's so much fun. And then always check to make sure that everything is kind of glossy. And then, because if it's not, then it's not going to stick. Okay? So, now what we're going to do is we're going to stamp the inside of our card base. And this is what I did with the card base. wishing you a day of love and joy. And I stamped the chrysanthemum off once. And one of the things I find, this is the Blackberry Bliss. Believe it or not, this is also Blackberry Bliss. It takes a while for this to get to the color, this kind of deep, deep, deep purple. This will lighten up a little bit. This side, like I said, this when you off stamp, that means when you stamp it on another piece of paper and then stamp it where you actually want it, because it's going to be a little lighter. This is the truer color of it. But again, this will turn lighter as time goes on. So we're going to get our stamp here and get our Blackberry Bliss. And one of the things I always try to remember is that go ahead and do the inside of your card base if you're doing it directly on the card base, because if you mess it up, don't attach anything to the front until you've done it, because if you mess it up, then you've got to get a new card base. If you've already put all the front stuff on, then you've got to start all over again, and that is not fun. Okay, so we're just going to put this anywhere you want. I'm just going to try and put it toward the top. Okay, pretty straight. Oh no, I need that, don't I? I need that. And I'm going to clean this off with my Simply Chamois, one of the best inventions. I don't know how it works, but it's all you do is put water on this and keep it moist, and it takes all the ink off. Now, where did I put my chrysanthemum? Where are you? Where's my chrysanthemum stamp? There it is. Okay. Put that on. And again, we're going to stamp this off. I have a screen on. There's my scrap piece of paper. And I'll show you what stamping off means. Always check to make sure you're getting ink all over that stamp. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to stamp it off on a scrap piece of paper. And then I'm going to come back over to my card base and stamp that. And see how much lighter that is? See the difference? And these are the same two colors of ink. Okay? So if you want a lighter color, stamp it off first. So, you know, it just depends what you're trying to do with your cards. And so we're done with that. Oh, Godzilla here. Now I have a scrap somewhere. I just saw it. All right. Oh, there it is. Okay. All right, we're going to use this. This is a 1/2 inch, and it has to be at least the width of your card. And I always leave it, this is just a scrap, I always leave it longer so that I can trim it off exactly where I want it. And we're going to use some liquid glue. And what I usually do is I put the piece down on the card, and then I put my thumb or finger so that I don't go over the edge, because when you're cutting, you don't want your scissors to pick up the glue. So I put this all the way down at the bottom for this card. Easy enough to line up. Press it down and get your paper snips and cut that off. There you go. There. Beautiful inside of the card. Now, we are going to assemble the front of the card. Now, First, we are going to glue down our designer series paper. And this is probably a 1/2 inch from the left side. And hold it up and make sure we're straight. It looks pretty good. And just if there's anything, it doesn't even, yeah, there's a little bit there. And if I've missed anything when I post this on YouTube, there will be the measurements, and there will be a link to my blog, and the blog will have all the dimensions, and it will also have the YouTube video, or go to my YouTube channel and watch it there. So now what we're going to do is we're going to attach the frame. And one of the things I found is I kind of liked, I was first trying to offset it from this paper. For some reason that did not sit well with me. So you do what you feel is right. Now, we're going to put some ribbon underneath this part here, the top of the frame. All right, and it looks like we're just at the top of 1, 2, 3, 4, the top of the 4th row. So we're going to get our trusty tape here and our ribbon. Top of the 4th row. 1, 2, 3, 4. Is that right? Sorry. Some days are good, some days aren't. Just depends. I hope everyone's holding up all right under the COVID-19 virus. Okay, 4. And we're kind of sequestered here, and I am working for a friend, and just part-time, but we're taking every precaution to, we're not even coming in contact with anybody. We're kind of offsetting shifts, and so that no one is affected by it. So far, so good. And by the end of the day, my hands are raw from all the disinfectant wipes and wiping down my steering wheel when I get into the car, and but it seems to be working. It doesn't seem to be a problem here in Arizona from what I've heard, so that's a good thing. It seems that we have been able to kind of curb this virus from spreading like wildfire. So what better thing to do than to make cards? And I've got a card kit that I'm coming out with. Yes, this is shameless advertising on my part. And I will be posting that soon. So what better thing to do than to make some beautiful cards while you're being sequestered. Now, one of the things you'll notice is I have a flower here and this sprig, and they are both kind of underneath the base of the frame. So when I put the liquid glue on the back of the frame, I'm being cognizant of the fact that I don't want to put any glue right here or right here, okay? Everywhere else is fine. And that should be plenty to hold this down. Now what I did is I put the frame, like I said, I butted it up against the paper strip on the right hand side. It just, for some reason, it looked better to me that way. And then I've got the ribbon going underneath the top part of the frame. Looks good. Everything looks pretty straight. All right. So then what we're going to do is, oh, there they are. I'm losing everything today, folks. Okay, so we're going to stick this, I don't know what you'd call it, leaf. And I kind of curled the end up. And then we've got one of the chrysanthemums that's going to go like that. And this, I glued this part down on the chrysanthemum. Okay. And I'll put a little bit of glue here on the leaves, making sure that that stem doesn't stick out at the bottom. And then what I did is I came in with some mini dimensionals. These are hard for me to work with. And I'm going to take the paper backing off before I put it on anything. Sure. Easier said than done. All right, maybe I can get it off of here. Okay. And I'm just going to take your pick tool. Oh, boy. Another day of things not working right. I'm just all thumbs today. Sorry. There we go. Okay, get off of there. Okay, and I'm just going to take that and get it on my take your pick tool, and I'm going to put it underneath this branch to prop it up a little bit. Make sure it doesn't show. That'll give it a little dimension, and I'm going to put one underneath the flower also. Get that off of there. Sorry, folks. All right, and we're just going to get that up underneath there. That'll give it a little bit, and then I just kind of took my fingers and just brought the leaves up. I mean the petals up. Now with the Stampin' Dimensionals, the larger ones, I'm going to bring this up above everything. And we'll get the dimensionals off of the backing off these dimensionals. Yep. Okay, and we'll kind of center that with the frame. Again, I hope my head's not in your way. Oop, that's a little too far over. Okay, I think that's a little better. Okay, and then last but not least, we're going to put this one up on dimensionals, this flower. And I'm just taking my nail and just kind of bending those petals a little bit. Get the backing off. And then place this up in the corner. Now, last but not least, we're going to take our clear faceted gems and which ones did I use? Did I use them? Yeah, I use these. I use this medium-sized one. Put one here. And one here. I think I got my Happy Easter up a little bit too high, but that's okay. There you go. Put these out of the way. And now we're going to take our multi-purpose glue and double make sure we are getting it on our base the correct way. Wouldn't that be a bummer? I haven't done that yet, but I'm sure I will sometime. And there you have an absolutely gorgeous Easter card. Now, I did not do an envelope, but I will, just for the sake of having an extremely finished product. Now, what I'm going to do is I will use the chrysanthemum, and I'm going to stamp it off because I like that lighter color, again, on a scrap piece of paper. And I'm going to do the flap. So on your scrap piece of paper, again, make sure everything has ink on it. And I'm going to stamp it off and stamp it on the flap, and then turn the chrysanthemum. I'm going to slip this underneath here. There. Who wouldn't like to get that? Isn't that gorgeous? Maybe we'll just put one on the front for yucks. Isn't that gorgeous? God, some of these cases are so hard to get open and closed. There you go. I'm in love with that. Okay. Now, if this happens to you, I apparently didn't get enough glue up at the top. Take a mini glue dot, and take your pick tool, and just slip that between the card base and your layer, and stick it in there. And that will hold it down perfectly. Just remember, these mini glue dots are very, very strong. So they will hold this card down. No one will ever know that I did not get enough glue up at the top. So there you go. Your Easter card and your envelope. I hope you enjoyed this. Again, this will be up on my YouTube channel, and that's Arid Desert Designs. That is all one word, and or find it on my Facebook page, which is Arid Desert Designs with spaces in between the words. Sorry about that. My mistake when I signed up. And then I have a blog, ariddesertdesigns.com. You will find everything there, and there will be links to everything that I used here today. So I hope you enjoy this, and I hope you have a wonderful day. And I'm sorry that we're all sequestered, but make the best of it. Make cards. Send them out to everybody. If you've got friends or family and you haven't talked to them in a long time, surprise them with a card. You know what? I would love to get one. So I want you to all be safe and have a great day, and thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule to come and join me. Bye.